It's Radagast Wiz, and this is what I'm doing right now.
Well, it's our first day back in Missoula after our trip to Yellowstone and to Casper. And Missoula has greeted us with an atmosphere of smoke and ash. You can feel it as you breathe in. It's pretty gross. I've spent most of this morning so far dumping all the footage from our trip, organizing files, formatting SD cards. Right now, though, I'm headed over to the Complexly building because today I am a guest on Lindsey Doe's Sexplanations podcast. I'm not even really sure what we're going to talk about, but it should be interesting. Let's talk about sex, baby.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's talk about sex.
Yeah. That was a fun podcast. We talked about sex, so you know it's going to be fun. Next up, I have a haircut at Boom Swagger Salon. So next time I see you, my hair is going to be a little bit shorter, at least on the sides. I don't know what I'm going to do about the top yet. We'll see. Boom. I think my hair is long enough that the haircuts don't make as much of a drastic difference anymore. Sides are a little bit shorter. For the most part, looks pretty similar. Okay, work day's over. Time to take Logan to Who Hot.
To a who what?
Who Hot.
Who what?
Who Hot.
Who what?
Who Hot.
Who what?
Who Hot.
Who hot?
Who Hot.
A who?
That's our first on-camera top 5.
Hey, way to go.
I would rate that top 5. 5 out of 5.
Wow.
What do I like?
This is Sherry's first trip to Who Hot ever.
Yep.
Abby, have you been to Who Hot yet?
I have not.
Okay, this is your first time as well?
Yeah.
Dang. Whew. That's so gross.
While you were gone, it just got worse and worse and worse.
We need a really good rain to just wash it all out of the sky.
Uh-huh.
Are you going home?
Maybe.
You should go home.
Okay.
Abby's friend Ashley has just arrived in Missoula. Welcome. We're going to take her to Warden's where they have good sandwiches. And also, Warden's has been open since like 18-something.
Yeah, 18-something. 72.
1872? Okay, we'll check the validity of that. Oh my, it's a little rainy out here.
Which explains this.
Todd did the rain dance. Oh, well at least that means it will have washed the smoke out of the sky.
That's what I was hoping for, but it still looks nice.
I think it's less than it was before. This camera just said it fell asleep. Was I not even recording before? I might not have even, maybe I wasn't recording up until this point.
Dang it.
Let me back up and just re-say everything that I just said. Right now this is being shot on the Panasonic Lumix GH5. It's one of the cameras that we borrowed from B&H to help shoot the eclipse in Wyoming at the beginning of this week. And prior to this trip, the GH5 was the one camera that was still kind of like, I've never used that, but a lot of people really talk about it highly. Maybe it's a camera that I should invest in. After having used it for a little bit, I find that for regular light situations, like not low light situations, but everything else, if I had a choice between the GH5 and a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, I think I would take the Pocket Cinema camera. Even though the Pocket Cinema camera only shoots in 1080, I have never found another camera that I like the color quality of better. I think the image that comes off the Blackmagic Pocket is the closest to looking filmy than any other camera that I have personally touched. The GH5, it's nice, it's pretty, like this is a pretty shot, and it's largely in part due to this lens that I have on it. It's a Vedra Mini Prime 25mm, but there's something about it, I think, that is just a little bit too clean, too sterile. I don't know what it is. The Pocket Cinema camera just has a character to it that I really like. But then in low light situations, the Pocket Cinema camera sucks. In those situations, if I had to choose between having a GH5 and a Sony Alpha 7S Mark II, I would take the Sony. It's far superior in low light situations, and given that in the course of making daily-ish videos, I find myself in very wide-ranging light situations, having that Sony around was super useful. So overall, I think I would give the GH5 3 stars. I like it, it's a good camera, I can see why other people like it, but I don't think the image that comes off of it has as much character as a Blackmagic camera, and it certainly doesn't have the low light capability of a Sony Alpha 7.
I like that Sony a lot. I feel like it's smaller than, well, like the Pocket Cinema camera is pretty small.
The Pocket Cinema camera is very small. The Sony is maybe a little bit smaller than this one, but the build quality on the Sony is really good. Handling this GH5, it feels like a plastic toy.
What does the price compare on?
I think the Sony is a little bit more expensive. I'm not sure. I will look it up right now.
I always felt like even with the Blackmagic camera, it felt like the structure of the camera wasn't designed super well, but then it had a really good sensor according to what you wanted.
Yeah, the sun's coming out, so it's getting bright. I'm gonna adjust exposure a little bit so we can get it. There we go. So Blackmagic as a camera company is relatively young. They've been at the camera game far less time than Sony or Panasonic. And I see Blackmagic as sort of like a child that you can see has a lot of innate talent and potential. Like if Blackmagic can continue to grow and learn from their camera iterations, I can see them being like fantastic in 10 years. Whereas Panasonic and Sony have been making sensors for decades. And the fact that there's another camera company, Blackmagic, coming in and like doing things that Panasonic and Sony can't do, I don't know. If I were those companies, I'd be like, all right, engineers, we got new competition in town. We got to step up our game. So right now on B&H, the Sony Alpha 7 II is just under $1,500. It's $1,498. The GH5 is just under $2,000. So right now the Sony Alpha 7 is cheaper. I didn't realize that the Sony was cheaper. For some reason I had it in my head that the GH5 was cheaper.
Was this one newer?
I think so.
Sony's been out for a while.
I think so. Knowing that, why would anybody buy this? There's a cheaper camera that can see better in low light. Actually, I know why. I do know why people would buy this. This can shoot in 10-bit color, which means that color correcting this, you can push and pull the color of the footage way further before the image starts looking bad. Shooting in 10-bit means that you are using more information to describe each pixel on an image. And because there's more information, you can mess with the image more. You can theoretically push light into the shadows more before it gets too grainy and unintelligible. It's just with more information about the original image, you can mess with it more. Whereas the more compressed it is, the more locked in you are to the way that it got compressed.